What is up, you guys? So, I have clearly been away for a while. No pun intended, but we're gonna get to that a little later. Basically, life has been really chaotic lately. The last month-ish of my life has been just really difficult for a couple different reasons that we'll get into in this video, but that has kind of hindered my ability to make videos at the frequency that I would like to make videos. I feel as if a pretty major injustice was done to me. When people are faced with injustice or like just an unfair situation in general, they usually respond in a handful of different ways. They may contact a lawyer, they may contact law enforcement, they may try to speak to a manager or a higher up, or whatever the case may be. They try to bring their grievance to somebody who can do something about it. In my situation, I feel like the injustice was done to me by those people. So there's not really a higher up to talk to. All I can do is try to get awareness out there, try to spread the word, tell you guys what happened to me, you tell your friends what happened to me, and then hopefully we are all just kind of aware that this is going on. We at least shine a light on it. We may not be able to stop it, we may not be able to change it, but we can at least bring some light to it so that people know that this is going on and we can do something about it. If not like by the higher ups, eventually if we shine enough light on something, it's impossible to ignore. More people will speak up and we can kind of stop this altogether, ideally. That is being an idealist, like maybe nothing will happen at all, but at least I will have gotten it off my chest, I will have shared it with some people, and you are those people. Storytelling's got me a little thirsty, so I grabbed this guy. Culture Pop, Fizzy and Gutsy Wild Berries and Lime. Should be good. But anyway, back to story time. I'm gonna be a little vague on the beginning of this story, mostly because I was in some legal trouble over it. There's some other people involved. I don't want to accidentally incriminate myself or accidentally incriminate somebody else. So the moral of the story is I got a speeding ticket. The speeding ticket occurred on a road that was a pretty high speed limit, as is. Big open road, nothing along the road. Conditions were clear, so no rain. It was sunny, dry, and traffic was, I would say, light, if not non-existent. But I get stopped, I get charged or accused of speeding, a speed that is a 2-digit number. That's what I can tell you about the incident. I'm sorry that is vague, but that's what I feel comfortable saying without, like I said, incriminating myself or incriminating someone else. But speeding ticket, 2-digit number. The officer approaches the window, asks, "Do you know why I'm stopping you?" And I say, "Yes, I was speeding." And then the officer, who's probably in his mid-20s, for reference, I'm in my mid-30s and showing every bit of it. He's in his early to mid-20s and just starts to berate me. He starts to tell me about how traffic accidents from speeding cause kids to have no mothers, and how dangerous it is, and how he could take me to jail, but he has better things to do than deal with me, and just going in on me. And I'm a firm believer in, like, cause and effect, crime and punishment. I did break the law. I did speed. I am not denying that. His job now is to enforce the law and write a ticket or do whatever it is he needs to do. His job is not to do a a lesson. He's not supposed to parent me now. He's not supposed to give me a defensive driving course. He's not supposed to scold me and give me a talk on appropriateness or good behavior. That's not his job. But he proceeds to do that. So finally, as I have a person who is at least a decade younger than me kind of berating me, I finally say, "Hey man, I understand what you're doing here. You're trying to put the fear of God in me. You're trying to teach me a lesson, but that's not why I'm here. I was speeding. If you want to go ahead and write my ticket, I'm cool with that." I gave him the reason why I was speeding, of which I did have a reason. I presented an excuse. If I straight up said, if you don't accept my excuse, if that's not a good enough reason for you, go ahead and write my ticket. we don't have to do this. We don't have to do this like back and forth. Like, I'm admitting I'm wrong. You have a job to do now. Let's just go ahead and proceed with that. So he says, okay, throws his hands up, says he'll be right back. He then goes to his car, and he's at his car for about 45 minutes, my friends, about 45 minutes. At this point, he is back, and he is writing me a ticket. He goes into his whole little diatribe again about how there's no excuse for speeding and yada, 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 and I've already said okay. At this point, he still has my ID tucked in his jacket. So I see it there, and he's like, all right, show up at court this day, yada, 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 all the normal things that happen when you get a speeding ticket. And then he says, all right, have a good day. And I was like, can I have my ID back? And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, can I have my ID back? Please. And at this point, he's looking at me with like utter like confusion, like he has no idea. So I like point at his chest, and I was like, if you're attempting to keep my ID to pretend to be me, nobody's gonna believe that. Like, just trying to bring some light to the situation that is like attached to his chest and he doesn't realize it. This annoys him, so he hands it back to me pretty forcefully and lets me on my way. And finally, I'm on the road. And I am thinking, hey, just a regular speeding ticket. That cop was a dick, but everything is gonna be okay. But friend after friend after family member are all like, hey, lawyer up just in case. So let's crack the drink. See how this is. Come on, let's go with the review. That's disgusting. I don't like that at all. But anyway, I get a lawyer. I'm talking to the lawyer. It's a pretty generic lawyer. I won't name his name because they're not paying me for that, but it was like speedingtickets.com or something really generic. But the reviews were good. I wasn't super worried at this point. I'm like, I'm gonna get hit with a fine. That's what's gonna happen. The lawyer begins to tell me that the county in which I was pulled over, which is Henry County, I was in McDonough. I can't remember the exact name of the city. I'll roll it here, but it doesn't matter. But I was here, and he was telling me that speeding tickets there are a huge deal. Traffic violations are a huge deal. The judges and the cops and everybody involved, the solicitors, are notoriously really, really bad. So at this point, I'm getting a little worried. I'm glad I hired him. After a while of him trying to get a hold of them not calling him back, I have my ticket number. I'm entering it onto the Henry County Pay Your Ticket website. Nothing is coming up. Still to this day, 2 months later, nothing has come up on the website as far as my ticket. They seemingly never logged it into their online portal. I'm looking it up. He's calling. We're not getting any headwind. Finally, they get back to him and they tell him that they are upgrading the speeding ticket to a reckless driving charge. And what they want to give me is 10 days in jail on a reckless driving charge, 1 day in jail on a speeding ticket, and about $3,000 in fines, which is ludicrous. I was not recklessly driving. I was simply going fast. There was no like burnouts. There was no slaloming. There was no weaving in and out of traffic. There was zero traffic. So the lawyer's not having it. He goes to work doing his thing and ends up getting the reckless driving charge dismissed, which is amazing. Thank you, sir, for that. I don't remember his name because it was such a shit show. I don't remember his name, but they get that dismissed and I'm feeling a little better. I'm like, okay, I have to go face this ticket. He's saying he thinks he's gonna be able to negotiate away the day in jail and I'll just be paying the fine. And if that's the case, no points on my license, no insurance hike, everything will be well. So fast forward to my court date. I never actually get the information on when I'm supposed to go to court because the information on the ticket is not coming up on their website. When I call to confirm that I need to be there at the court date, the people in the office, I don't know their title name, forgive me, but the people that work at the courthouse are saying there's no record of me having any ticket whatsoever. So luckily I have the lawyer. He contacts them, he figures it all out. He lets me know for my initial court date, I do not need to be there. They're gonna go in my honor and negotiate the ticket. They go there, they do it, and then I don't hear anything back. The lawyer doesn't contact me, the judge doesn't contact me, no solicitor, nothing. I hear nothing. So I actually reach out to the lawyer, and he says he's still waiting on some news from them. They're not really communicating very well, but there will be some deal of some sort. We don't know what that is, but he said he's trying his best. Fast forward about 2 weeks, I get a letter in the mail that says, you have to appear this day for a plea agreement. I contact the lawyer again and I say, what is this plea agreement that I am agreeing to? Like, what am I saying that I did? What am I agreeing to do? And he says he does not know because they won't actually negotiate until the day of the ticket. He said this particular solicitor will not talk to him until it's actually the court date. So if I have to go to jail, I'm not gonna find out until the day I actually have to go to jail. So at this point, I'm obviously getting pretty nervous. I am worried that I'm gonna go to court and they're just gonna drag me off to jail. This court date was on the very first day of my work week, so I took that day off work. But I was worried that if I did have to go to jail that day straight from court, I would miss a second day of work without any ability to tell anybody. I just wouldn't show up. I don't have anybody's phone number memorized really, so I'm thinking at this point I need to start writing my boss's number on my leg or something. All the things you start thinking of when you're kind of freaking out. But I talked to the lawyer and he says, don't worry about it. I think I'm able to get the jail to go away. I don't think you're gonna be going to jail. I'm gonna try my best. You should be A-okay.
Congratulations, you played yourself. The lie detector test determined that was a lie.
We go into the courtroom and this solicitor absolutely, positively, full send, throws the book at me. She throws the absolute book at me, my dudes. So much so that my lawyer is like dumbfounded. A guy who fights traffic tickets for a living was completely shocked and appalled by what this lady was offering as a resolution to this ticket. The resolution to my case had a lot of things on the list. They were asking for 32 hours of community service, 24 hours in jail, a full day defensive driving course, $1,260 in fines, 12 months of probation, and I dropped my phone. 12 months probation, 24 hours in jail, a full day defensive driving course, $1,260 in fines, 32 hours of community service, and a program called TVIP. So that was the sixth thing. TVIP is Teen Vehicle Intervention Program, or Teen Violators Intervention Program. It's like a scared straight program for teenagers to teach them the dangers of speeding, driving without a seatbelt, and texting while driving. I was speeding, but I was not driving without a seatbelt. I was not texting and driving. And most importantly for TVIP, that the first word is teenager, I am 35 years old. But those were my punishments. That's what they were throwing at me. The only thing that the lawyer could get gone was the 12 months probation. He got it changed to probation ends when I finish all of those requirements. So in my case, about 2 weeks of probation. And he did, of course, get rid of that reckless driving charge they were trying to hit me with that would have carried 10 days in jail and probably some more money. So basically, the long list of things I have to do was getting kind of daunting. I'm still in the courtroom at this point, but it's like weighing on me. I'm like, dude, I have to do all of this shit. I sign up for probation. They get all my information for the probation thing. They're asking if I have tattoos. They're everything. It's like jail intake in here. So I'm telling them all the information, and then I leave the jail or the courthouse, which is on the top floor. I go downstairs to where the pay window is. I was like, I'm just going to pay now. I wasn't really prepared to drop the money, but I was like, let me just go ahead and pay this, get one thing off the list. So my car was in neutral and like about to roll. I am like, let me go get one thing off the list. So I go down to the pay window. I give them my name. I'm like, I have this fee. I want to pay it. They look it up and they say, hey, with your ticket type, you have to pay online. You can't pay this in person. And I'm like, all right, weird, but okay. So I leave, I start driving home. This place is like 45 minutes from home. So about like 15 minutes into the drive, I'm getting towards the highway because it's that far off the highway. I am like, man, it's weighing on me. I'm getting obsessive. Like, I'm really thinking about all the things I have to do. I'm like, when I get home, I'm signing up for defensive driving immediately. Let me just go ahead and pay this ticket now. I didn't want to text and drive or anything and get another ticket. So I pull over into this little fast food restaurant. I pull over to this fast food restaurant. I park. I jump on the website that they gave me. It's like henrycountypay.com or something. I hop on there. I type in my information. It says no ticket found. I realized that there was also a city website. There's like the county and the city website. Both are kind of, I was in both technically. So I hop on the city website. I type it in there. No ticket found. So I just call them real quick. I'm like, hey, I was just there. It was a different person on the phone in their defense. I say, hey, I was just there. I tried to pay in person. You guys told me to pay online, but it says no ticket found. The lady looks it up and she was like, oh, actually with the ticket type you have to pay your ticket in person. So I'm like, y'all just told me to leave and pay online. I'm like, what is going on? And she's like, nah, that was a mistake. I don't know who told you that, but you have to pay in person. So I'm like, all right, skirt. I drive back there, 15 minutes back. At this point, they're closing in like 25 minutes and I'm 15 minutes away. She's like, yeah, we're about to close though. So I'm like hightailing it. I'm like speeding to go pay my speeding ticket, which is how they get you. I'm speeding to go pay my speeding ticket. I get back there in time. I rush in. I'm like, hey, I just talked to somebody on the phone. They said I actually need to pay in person. I want to pay this ticket in person. I'm like waving my card and she's like, do you want to pay with that card? And I'm like, yep, here you go. And she's like, we actually only accept cash here. So you have to pay your $1,260 fee in Cash Money Millionaires. So I'm like, yeah, I don't have that cash on me. And she's like, well, there's an ATM right outside the door. And I'm like, cool, tight. I'll be right back. Can you hang out a second? I know you're closing. And she's like, yeah, you got 5 minutes. Go ahead. So I'm going, I turn around, I start walking towards the door. I'm like, don't get this money. Gonna give it all to Henry. So I get to the door, and as soon as I'm like turning the doorknob, she's like, but the ATM only gives you $200 in a 24-hour period. And I'm like, but I need $1,200. And she's like, $200. And I'm like, but I need 12. And she's like, $200. So clearly I can't get enough money out. So I'm like, cool. So do I need to come back here tomorrow with $1,200? And she's like, oh, no. Tomorrow you can pay online. And I'm like, y'all specifically said I have to pay here. And she says, no. That was just for today. Tomorrow you can pay online. After 24 hours, you can pay online in full. And I'm like, tight, cool. I wouldn't have driven back here immediately if I knew that. But I drive back home. I get online. It still says nothing. So I sign up and I do defensive driving. I find, luckily, a fairly cheap 6-hour defensive driving course that counts as a full day. I probably got home around 6, and I was on that till like a little after midnight. Like I banged it out. And then went to sleep, woke up the next morning, and I jump on the website to pay my ticket. It says, no ticket found. So at this point, I am like fully over these people. So I jump on the phone, I give them a call, and I'm like, hey, listen, I really want to pay this ticket. This is what happened yesterday. This is what's happening now. I really want to pay this ticket. And this guy's like, oh yeah, man, you can pay right now. That's totally fine. And I'm like, tight. So I'm like, all right, can I give you my card information? And he was like, yeah, what's your name and everything? I tell him my name. He looks it up and he's like, oh, you got to pay like $12.60. And I'm like, yes. And he's like, you know, it's like a $15 charge to pay on the phone, right? And I'm like, cool, man, that's fine. Like absolutely cool with me. And he was like, okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and process a payment for $350. And I'm like, bro, $12.60, my guy. And he's like, oh yeah, I know, but you can only pay $350 a day. We only allow you to pay $350 a day, regardless of the fact that we're fining you $1,260. So I'm like, okay, so like, can I get online and pay the rest? And he's like, $350 a day, my dude. And I'm like, fine, cool. And he's like, but if you call the probation officer, she will give you an address and you can snail mail a money order for the full amount to the address she says, which will probably take longer than me just calling this guy every day for 4 days in a row to pay the $350. So that is what I do. Every day for 4 days, I call this guy, I pay $350, I pay the $15 payment fee, so an additional $60 onto this to pay this fine. Literally, there is no option to pay online or on the phone in full. You have to do $350 a day or show up to this county with $1,260 in cash or mail a money order. The least convenient. Why even have an online pay system if you can't pay in full? That's like being like, yeah, you can pay your power bill in full, but it's going to take 4 days. And every day we're going to charge you to pay us. We're going to have a fee to pay a fee to pay a fee. Oh my God. The worst. So 4 days later, I get all of the fees paid. Everything is seemingly moving along. It's getting resolved. I start looking into the 32 hours of mandatory community service I have to do. 32 hours of mandatory community service. I'm calling food banks, and a bunch of food banks and my attorney are all saying kind of one really cool thing. They're saying food banks are hard up for food. Food banks are not hard up for work. So if you're willing to donate food, a lot of these food banks will take canned food as ours, which is great to me. I will happily spend some money on canned food for the poor, for the homeless, in exchange for these hours, because to me, time is money. It would be more efficient to just buy this canned food, for a good cause than to go work somewhere for 32 hours of me not filming videos, 32 hours of me not going to my actual day job, 32 hours of me not doing something productive, you know? So I start looking into that. I find the perfect food bank. They say, yes, we're absolutely part of that program. We would love to have your donations as ours, but you need to contact your probation officer and find out how many cans she considers an hour. That is a number that is dictated by probation officers, not by the donation facility. So contact her, she'll tell you how many cans are an hour, then you can bring the appropriate amount of cans, and then you will be solved. Everything will be good. Which sounds great to me. I look online, some people are saying 1 can is an hour, some people saying for them 5 cans was an hour, some people are saying for them 10 cans was an hour. A can is $1, $10 an hour, seems fair. I'm cool with it. That's like 320 cans of food, but I'm down. I'll do my part. I did the crime, I will help out the hungry. I call the probation officer, I leave a voicemail, I get no call back. So the following day, I call the probation officer, I leave a voicemail, I get no call back. So the following day, I call the probation officer, I leave a voicemail, I get no call back. At this point, I am completely have had it with these people. I am so unhappy, I'm so bummed that I call her twice in one day, leaving voicemails, and finally she calls me back. She calls me back and I say, hey, I partnered with a food bank. This is what they want. Instead of work hours, they would like canned food. They said they have plenty of workers. What they don't have is product. And she says, no. She says, no donation will count as an hour. She's like, food donations do not count as hours. But if you want to do more community service, we can take $10 an hour off your fine. I owe $12.60 that I already paid at this point, but if I want to work community service, they'll give me $10 an hour towards that fine, which doesn't make any sense to me. If I can give my time for $10 an hour, why can't I physically give $10 an hour? Like, I will happily give $320 or $620 or whatever number you decide arbitrarily, because clearly the rules don't apply to me, to not have to do this community service. She says no, I have to do the hours, which is fine. I suck it up and I find a place to do it in their county, of course. Because the other little spicy meatball about this whole situation is, if you do your community service back in their county, they will do a 2-for-1 program. Basically, every hour you work in their county counts as 2 hours to incentivize you going back to their county and helping feed their supply of indentured servants. That's what this is. This is a prison system, a punishment system based totally on profiteering, and it's just glorified indentured servitude. They're like, yeah, man, if you want to work close to home in the county you live in and benefit your actual community, 32 hours to get 32 hours. But if you come down here and instead work for us for free, we'll give you 2 hours for everyone. Who doesn't take that deal? Like, absolutely. It's just like the same thing with like plea bargains. They're like, hey, if you just agree to this thing that gets us solved really quickly and benefits us entirely, way better deal for you than if you try to fight this or try to do this close to home in any way that's even remotely convenient for you. I agree to do it. I end up getting into their community service program in Henry County. It's actually McDonough city limits, I believe. And it's honestly pretty easy to navigate. The people there were super nice. You can tell that they work for the same like sheriff's department, but they're completely independent people. And I sign up to go down there. You don't have to sign up, you just show up. I show up there to do the community service, and it's honestly pretty chill. It was the only part of this entire situation that was like direct and made sense, with people that showed you any level of respect. Extreme disrespect is coming in part 2, but this video is getting super long, so I'm gonna end it here. I'm gonna tell you the rest of the story in another video in a couple days. That video is really, really crazy. Definitely stay tuned for that one, because I thought things were bad, but things are about to get really, really bad. So make sure you tune in for the next video. If you enjoyed this rant, go ahead and hit thumbs up. If you hadn't yet, please hit subscribe. I really, really appreciate when you guys subscribe. That means the world to me. If you have any comments on this, for sure, just drop them below. Whatever you have to say about it, leave me some comments below. Let's get to talking. If you reply in the first couple days after I make a video, I reply to every single comment. No matter what you say, I reply. Positive, negative, we will be talking. So yeah, drop your comments below. I appreciate your support. Definitely check in for video number 2. I'll see you soon.